Let's take you through the bottom 6 teams in the Big 12 this season. We've already given you the top 10. We begin the bottom 6, number 11, BYU. Southern Illinois, win. I don't believe in Rhett Lashley. That's a win. Never playing Laramie, not buying it here. I've got BYU starting 3-0. Wyoming's got some overhaul. They haven't been consistent the last couple of seasons. Give me a 3-0 BYU. Kansas State, a loss at home to a better Kansas State team. At Baylor, I believe at this point, Baylor will struggle so much, BYU might actually have more fans in the stands. They win the game. Arizona at home, much better team, a very good offense. That's a loss for BYU. And you go on a brutal stretch. Oklahoma State loss. At UCF loss. At Utah, can't get it done. Kansas at home, not going to win that game. Luckily, at 4-6, BYU flips the script from last year. And instead of losing all the way down the stretch, they pick up 2 wins at Arizona State, against Houston. BYU bounces back 6-6, 3-6 in Big 12 play, 11th in the conference. 11 teams in this league make a bowl. Colorado sits behind them at 12th. North Dakota State, I'm going to give you a win. They're a little bit down from what they've been. Not a ton, but a little bit. At Nebraska's a loss. At Colorado State, that school might go 1-11. Their only focus in the offseason has been beating Colorado, and they'll get it done. Baylor at home, Colorado comes back. Their skill position guys are too good for a very bad Baylor defense. You win. You're 2-2. At UCF, Kansas State at home. At Arizona, very tough stretch. 0-3 there. Cincinnati at home. You're a better school, a better team. That's a win. And then a really brutal stretch to end it. All bowl teams. Texas Tech on the road. Utah at home. At Kansas. Oklahoma State at home. That's a very, very hard stretch. Of your last 8 games, 7 of them are losses, and they're all brutally tough. Colorado finishes with a final record of 3 wins, 9 losses, 2-7, and tied for 12th. Who are they tied with? A team that they beat, the Baylor Bears. Tarleton State is a win, despite them being a top 20 FCS school. You will lose to Utah. Air Force has a lot of turnover, but they do every year. That's part of them being Air Force, military. That's a loss in the same way it was in a bowl game 2 years ago. Colorado on the road. They are a much better skilled team. They will get the win. Baylor loses. This is a 3-game losing streak now that's accentuated by BYU showing up to 1-3 Baylor, having a bigger crowd in McLean Stadium, and winning the game. BYU beats the Bears. Iowa State on the road. They're a better team than you. Texas Tech on the road. They're a better team than you. Oklahoma State at home. They're a much better team than you. Those are all losses as well. Baylor looks up. It's lost 7 straight. Is Dave Aranda still the coach? They're 1-7. If Dave Aranda gets fired here, that's why I have Baylor beating TCU at home. In the same way that TCU fired Gary Patterson and beat Baylor the very next week, I think Baylor is going to sneak up on somebody, somewhere. They do it against TCU. They get the win. At West Virginia is a loss. You never won there. At Houston, a win. Baylor's not going to go winless in Big 12 play despite going 3-9 last year. Kansas at home is a loss. Jeff Grimes returns. 3-9 finish for the Bears. 2-7 in Big 12 play. Tough non-conference keeps you out of that 5-7 range. They are also tied with Cincinnati. You'll beat Towson. You will lose to Pitt at home, though I do believe Pitt's not great. You'll lose to Pitt at home. Miami, Ohio returns a lot of production. I've done a lot of Googling. Miami of Ohio beats Cincinnati in Cincinnati. Houston at home, you rebound to start 2-2 on the year after a win against the Cougars. At Texas Tech, loss. At UCF, loss. Versus Arizona State, I think they're gritty, loss. At Colorado, better skill position team. They've got a Heisman contender, Travis Hunter. They're not going to go winless. You will lose that game as well. Then, when all hope seems gone as a 2-win team with 4 games remaining, you beat West Virginia. The same West Virginia that lost to Houston last year who fired its coach. And I know that they were banged up for that game. But Cincinnati, you're going to get somebody. Somebody. And maybe it's right after you fired Scott Satterfield, you beat West Virginia. At Iowa State is a loss. At Kansas State's a loss. TCU at home, you're the worst team. You will fall in that game. Cincinnati 3-9, 12th in the Big 12, 2-7 in conference play. Then at 15th, at 15th, Arizona State. Wyoming's a win. Mississippi State's a win. I really think Mississippi State's going to reek this year, and I don't hate Kenny Dillingham. Great coaching staff. They've got a couple of pieces, but the schedule gets tough. At Texas State, very good group of 4 team. Loss. At Texas Tech, that's a loss. Kansas State. It's the same Texas State, by the way, that beat Baylor last year. Kansas is a loss. Utah, you will not win that game. Cincinnati on the road, again, it's part of the Big 12. You're going to get somebody. You're going to get a win somewhere in here. You will win at Cincinnati, and then you won't get that feeling again. At Oklahoma State, at home against UCF, at Kansas State. Brutal. You fall in each of those. Kenny Dillingham's still the coach when you lose to BYU at home. Then you go to Arizona. That is also a loss. It's 3-9 for Arizona State, though I do believe of these bottom 6 teams, if any is going to shock me, it will be you. 16th, here you go. And this is by virtue of a first-year head coach. Similar to how Baylor went 1-16 under Matt Rule in year 1. And I'm telling you, I like Willie Fritz. You go 1-11. The only win on the schedule is Rice. You have tough games like Iowa State, Oklahoma, Kansas, Utah, Kansas State, Arizona. You even lose to Baylor this season. A couple of coin flip games like Baylor, Cincinnati, TCU, BYU. Those are losses for the Cougars in 2024. Here they are. Locked on Big 12's final standings. Kansas and Utah meet in the conference championship game after we beat out a tie for second in the conference with Arizona, Kansas State, and Utah. Arizona and Kansas State, as I mentioned, are tied for third. At fifth and tied for fifth, Iowa State, Oklahoma State, UCF. Tied for eighth. These teams are all going bowling. West Virginia, TCU, Texas Tech. At 11, the final bowl eligible team in the Big 12, BYU. Now 12 through 16 is as follows. Colorado, followed by Baylor, then Cincinnati, Arizona State, and Houston make up the rear. Those are the 16 teams in the brand new expansion Big 12 conference, and that is exactly how things will shake out. That is with the use of not just the Google machine, but also Brett Ciencia's Pick 6 previews and putting together how every unit from transfers to guys who stayed to guys who left will play on the field in the Big 12. Don't be shocked by the upsets. I picked plenty of upsets in here that probably won't happen, but that's why they're called upsets, is because they sneak up on you. We are just tomorrow away. We're tomorrow away from Big 12 football. I'll be in Rice-Eccles Stadium watching Utah and Southern Utah. I'll be at BYU this weekend and traveling all over the Big 12 conference. I promise you, there will not be another Big 12 source, another Big 12 only source that travels as much as I do to watch these teams play all season long. If you want wall-to-wall coverage of this league, you've got it right here with Locked On Big 12. Thank you for making this show your first listen every single day. Put a lot of time into this one. This has been, it always will be, Locked On. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Dose Grande.